Okay, so if I'm looking at this particular problem, I know that she spent 2 pages per hour. I know that I need to write an equation. Now, what is write an equation? Like, what is that super math spy code for? Y equals mx plus b. So I know that tells me I'm going to need a y equals mx plus b. It tells me that my x is going to be my hours spent writing, and that my y is going to be my total pages written. Right? Okay. So if I'm going to kind of go through a process here. One of the very first things I need to do is I need to figure out what two things do I need to label on the graph.
The x and y axis.
The x and the y axis, and not just the x and the y axis. I need to label this x, and I need to label this y, but I also need to label it with what I know. What do I know that my x is? What do I know my x is? Nope.
No.
Hours spent writing.
The hours spent writing. So I'm going to write that down here. So go ahead and write that on your paper. That's hours spent writing. All right, so I already know that. What do I know about my y? Hannah?
Total pages written.
I'm going to label it total pages written. Okay, so I've got my hours spent writing. I've got my total pages written. All right, everybody okay with that? That's easy enough. Everybody agree? All right, the next thing I have to then figure out is what is my y-intercept representing? So what is my y-intercept representing? Now, what do we know about a y-intercept? In other words, it's what? Ashley, what were you going to say? It's where we're starting. But in this case, it's where we're starting with our what? It's where I'm starting. It's my total. It's where I'm starting. With my total pages written. Now, how did I know that? Because y is total pages written. So I need to know how many total pages am I starting with? How many pages am I starting with? So when I sit down to start writing, how many total pages have I already written? 0. It doesn't tell me that I've written 5 pages and now it doesn't say Lila has already written 5 pages. We're starting at 0 pages. So what's my y-intercept going to be? It's going to be 0, right? So this tells me that B is 0 because I'm starting with 0 pages written. Everybody okay with that? Yes or maybe? Then the next thing I have to figure out is what is the slope? So in other words, what is my rate of change? What am I doing? What's moving? What's changing? What do we think is changing? Hannah, what do you think?
Is it 2 up and 1 over?
Okay, this right here, but it's not just 2 up and 1 over. What does that mean?
2 pages per hour.
Per 2 pages. Now, what does the word per mean to make? A what?
Each time.
Not yet.
1.
Not yet. A fraction. So this line right here, that's my per. 2 pages per what?
An hour.
What does that mean?
1 hour.
1 hour. Because remember, what I'm actually finding is my slope. So I want there to be 2 numbers there. But I also need to know what those numbers mean. So what does that mean? That means I'm increasing because I'm going to go up, right? I'm increasing 2 pages for every what? 1 hour that I also what? Increase or decrease? Increase. Okay? So this means my slope is is going to be 2 pages for every 1 hour. So then, is that all I have to do? I've got to actually write an equation. We've established that's y equals mx plus b. Hallie, what do you want to write?
Y equals 2x.
Y equals 2x.
And then this number.
If you wanted to put a number there, what could you put?
0.
Plus 0. But do you have to put the plus 0 there?
No.
No. But you have to recognize that means what? How many pages am I starting at? 0 pages. So what is that going to look like on the graph?
Up to right.
I'm going to start down here. That's my 0 pages, right? I'm at 0 pages. But I'm increasing 2 pages per every 1 hour that I continue to write. So what is that going to look like? Up 2, and then what? Right 1. Because remember, I'm increasing both. I'm increasing my pages, and I'm increasing my hours. So I'm just going to keep going. Everybody agree? Now, here's my question to you. If we were to graph this on an entire coordinate plane, okay? And I started here and went like this, okay? Would I when I got ready to draw my line, would I extend it down here?
Yes.
Yes.
How many of you think that I would? How many of you don't think I would? How many of you are unsure? Okay, so let's talk about it. What did we say this was? Our total pages written? Right? And what did we say this were? My hours spent? Okay? So if I were to reverse this, it would come here, right? So that would be at a -1, -2. Which actually means what? I've lost 2 pages for every 1 hour I've written. Can I have a negative amount of pages? Can I have a negative amount of hours? No. So would this line extend down into the negatives? No. Which is why you could just make the first quadrant. Does that make sense? Okay, so take your ruler, please. And then you're going to want to draw that line. But I'm not going to extend it down here. Because I'm not going to be able to have a negative total of pages and a negative amount of hours. So what does this mean? If I were to ask you, here's the line, what does your y-intercept mean in this case? So what does the y-intercept mean in this case? What does that mean? Not what is it, what does it mean? What does the y-intercept mean? Hannah?
Is it where you start?
Where, well, be more specific.
Where you start with the total pages written.
Okay, so it means I started out with 0 pages written. Started out with 0 pages written. What does my slope mean? That what? But what does that mean in terms of my total pages written?
It will write 2 pages every 1 hour.
But what about my total pages written? In 5 hours, I'd write what? I'm not going to disagree with that because that's right, but what does it mean? I've said it 3 times already since we've worked with this problem.
We have only 2 pages and 1 hour.
Nope. Yes, my dear. What is happening to my total pages written? Yes. It's increasing. Increasing what?
The amount of pages flow.
Okay, my total pages written is increasing 2 pages for every 1 hour I what?
Right.
Spend writing. That's why it tells you these things. Okay? You have to put the names with the numbers. You can't just say, well, it tells me that I've got 2 more. That's not how it works. Okay? It is increasing 2 pages per every 1 hour written. Okay? If you don't have this written down, just like I have it written down, with it labeled and with the words, then yours isn't going to be good enough.